All right. Hey, how's everybody doing? Just going to give people a couple minutes to get in here. We'll just get a couple other speakers up here, and then we'll get started.
I'm doing good. Can you hear me all right?
Absolutely.
Sweet.
Evan, you want to do a mic check as well?
Yeah, do I sound good?
You sound beautiful as always,
Okay,
sir.
good. That's what I want.
I think we're gonna have Vlad join as well. So Chris, by the way, is his internet connection is not great right now, so he'll mostly be listening into this space. But if people have specific questions for him, we will probably get to those in the next space that we do when he has a better connection. But let's get Vlad up here, and then I see a bunch of familiar faces here in the crowd. So welcome everyone. It's great to have you guys all here. And yeah, so why don't we just kick this thing off? So I wanted to welcome everyone to the space today. So these are this is our second biweekly Twitter space that the TFL team here is doing with the Terra community. This is something that was part of the Terra expansion grant proposal that we had on Agora a couple weeks ago, and we've wanted to be more communicative with the community for several months, but obviously due to legal constraints, we weren't really able to do that. So yeah, we're super excited to talk about some of the things that we've been working on, and that's a lot of what these calls are for, but then also talking directly with the community, answering questions that you guys might have about what we're working on or the future of Terra, and then talk about Terra ecosystem concepts, different applications we want to see get built in the ecosystem, maybe adjacent ecosystems or other related concepts in the wider crypto economy. So why don't we just start this thing off with some introductions from the speakers up here. So I'll start it off. So my name is Zion. I'm the head of communications here at TFL. So I'll be moderating this space and just kind of yeah, bringing people up to speak when we have time for Q&A and queuing these guys up here, these other TFL chads. See if you guys want to introduce yourselves. Maybe we'll start with Jason.
Yeah, I'm Jason Stallings, just a software developer at TFL and working on some interesting projects I'm going to talk about today. So, yeah, good to see you all.
Cool. Evan, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Evan. I do the documentation for Terra, all the Terra projects, and also do some other special projects that I will announce today. So stay tuned because I am announcing my secret project. Yeah.
Cool. Vlad, do you want to give a brief intro as well?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Zion. My name is Vlad. I'm the apps team lead at TFL, and my projects are mainly Enterprise and Warp, and we're also handling Station as of late. So nice to meet you all.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. So we'll add some other speakers up here as we go. But just to get started, as we go through the project updates, we'll have each of these guys talk about some of the things that they're working on. I know last time we talked a little bit about Warp and Enterprise, so maybe Vlad will be here for any questions that people have on that from last space or questions moving forward for Warp and Enterprise as well. But yeah, for the project updates, we'll just share some of the stuff that we're working on, maybe some of the challenges that we faced, how they're being tackled, and kind of some expected outcomes and timelines and things like that. So I'll kick this thing off. That last time, we were going to cover Alliance, but we didn't really have a lot of time to, just due to kind of the time constraints that we were dealing with there, and we talked more about Warp and Enterprise, and I think some the CEO transition as well. So yeah, so just to give everyone here a brief overview of Alliance and kind of what that is. Recently, I think I was talking about this on a space earlier with Andromeda, but I think there's been a lot of talk in Cosmos over the past several months about security. But if you look historically at why blockchain ecosystems fail, it's almost never from them being attacked, and virtually always from the underlying token and network lacking economic viability. And so essentially nobody really cares about attacking something that's not worth anything meaningful in the first place. So Alliance assists in resolving this issue and enables new and existing chains to bootstrap or strengthen their economic viability. And so it's an open source Cosmos SDK module that leverages interchain staking to form these economic alliances or economic agreements between blockchains. And this is ultimately accomplished by enabling chains to whitelist almost any token as an alliance asset. So this is kind of a new asset, and this allows users to stake that asset after it's been added as an alliance asset and earn a portion of native staking rewards. So Alliance itself is kind of akin to globalization in the language of nations, enabling these free trade agreements between these blockchains or decentralized economies or digital nation states, however you want to think about them. Alliance in particular, unlike mesh or interchain security, where validators are securing multiple networks, coins are moving to the chain that's providing this security, Alliance isn't aimed at selling security at all. So rather, it's more focused on enabling chains to buy immigration. So liquid staking tokens, which are, if people aren't familiar with those are just things like BLUNA, AMPLUNA. They're staked versions of a native token that allow you to still use that token in DeFi. So like I was saying, Alliance enables chains to buy immigration. So you see liquid staking tokens moved from a larger, more liquid chain to a consumer chain, and the cash flows from those LSTs cycle domestically within that consumer chain, along with new users and capital coming with it. So the cash flows from other ecosystems can be used to augment and diversify the staking yield for the native coin, which makes it a more interesting asset to hold and stake. And holders of allied coins have more avenues to boost their yield, which provides utility for those allied coins. So it's a win-win situation. So Alliance is thus not meant to really enable consumer chains to buy security, and is very much more of an economic agreement between two blockchains. I also wanted to mention just briefly, in the overview section of Alliance, it's worth mentioning that by virtue of the way the module is built, by enabling almost any token to be whitelisted as an Alliance asset through governance, Alliance can also serve as more of a general economic tool to basically steer a chain's monetary policy, in this case, their staking rewards, basically repurposing the staking rewards toward achieving desired objectives. And this is kind of interesting because if you look back, I know Vitalik wrote on this a while back. Like I was reading one of his posts recently, and a lot, chains are typically overspending for their security for the network, right? Like they're spending, like Ethereum in the post that I was reading for him, it was spending like millions of dollars to secure the network each month or something. And it was like the amount of funding that was going towards really anything else from the L1 was like virtually nothing, right? And so that's, so Alliance kind of helps address that by basically repurposing your staking rewards. So you can basically change the way that you're spending the chain's money. So that's where, we kind of use the terminology monetary policy there, where you're kind of developing a more sophisticated way to spend the chain's money to achieve desired objectives. These can be things beyond what I was mentioning before about kind of buying immigration. These could be things like deepening liquidity for different token pairs by whitelisting the LP tokens themselves as Alliance assets. You could also use it to incentivize native application development by whitelisting app or team tokens as Alliance assets. So there's a lot of, basically by integrating almost any of these assets as Alliance assets, you can incentivize different user behaviors. And that's where it turns into this general economic tool that you can use to incent different user behaviors. So that's kind of an overview of Alliance. In terms of the updates, so far there's 4 chains of integrated Alliance. We've got Migaloo, Carbon, Kujira, and Terra. And Luna alliances have already been formed with Migaloo and Carbon, with more to come in the near future. So users can actually stake Luna LSTs on Station's stake page to earn additional yield on top of their Luna staking yield in the form of, depending on the chain you stake on, in the form of Whale, Swift, and other Carbon tokens. And in line with that, we recently announced the winner of the Alliance dashboard competition, Big Labs. So users can actually track the alliance yields, assets, integrated chains, and other analytics on that alliance dashboard, which you can find if you click on the dashboard button on alliance.terra.money. And the cool thing about that, some people might not be aware of this, but the people that participate in the game of Alliance will have seen that the yields change based on how many people are staking in these alliances. So if there's not many people staking in an alliance, the yield, even though the reward weight and the take rate for that asset are static, the rate that you're earning can change based on how many tokens are staked in that alliance. So that's where the dashboard can kind of come in handy, because you can kind of see what these yields are across different alliance chains. And I think the utility of that tool is going to become even more evident as more alliances are formed, because it'll be easier to keep track of, like, okay, now there's 10, 12, 20 chains that, I want to keep track of and look and see where I want to move tokens. It'll be easy to do that all from one spot. I think another important update on the Alliance front, recently following the approval of the Alliance signaling proposal, which we posted a few weeks back, the team has been hard at work building the protocol that's going to dynamically determine and distribute Luna staking awards to eligible Alliance chain LSTs that we whitelist as Alliance assets on Terra. So the code audit for that actually, I think, is going to be completed today. And we posted the follow-on governance proposal to execute the ideas outlined in the Alliance signaling proposal on Agora, I think, a couple days ago. So you can read the full details of that proposal and join the discussion under Alliance follow-on proposal on Agora. But that new proposal is going to be split into two on-chain proposals that are going to be voted on simultaneously. The first one, and that's just for basically expediting the process, but the first one is going to be aimed at whitelisting. And for those who read the original governance proposal, this will be, you're familiar with this, but whitelisting a token called VT, which will have a supply of 1, which is just stands for virtual staking token. So the first proposal will just be whitelisting that as an Alliance asset with a reward weight of 3% and take rate of 0%. And that's the token that's going to be used to basically dynamically determine and distribute rewards, Luna staking rewards, to other LSTs. So that will be held by the contract, these contracts that are dynamically distributing these rewards, and it'll automatically, based on the yields that these other chains are offering to Luna LST stakers on their chains, determine how much of that reward weight, 3%, will go towards each LST. And then the other thing that first proposal will do is incrementally increase the reward weight for that token, VT, by about 47% each month for 6 months, from 0.3% to its final target of 3%. And then the second governance proposal will whitelist the LSTs for the first 2 chains that have already met the eligibility requirements. So this will start dynamically distributing rewards to stakers of these tokens. So we have Carbon, we have R Swift, and then for Migaloo, we have B Whale and Amp Whale. So that proposal will be whitelisting those as Alliance assets to begin getting dynamically distributed rewards, which is pretty cool because those 2 chains have already formed alliances with us. So it's cool. We'll be able to start rewarding their community and bring them into the Terra ecosystem soon. Outside of that, we're also working on, we're working with the same video production company that helped us create the How Does Terra Work video, which is super popular back in the day. This is an explainer video that basically explained how the Luna UST seniorage mechanism worked. And so we're working with the same, and they did a great job with that video. It's like 3 minutes long. It's an animated explainer video that just briefly outlines that module. We're going to be doing the same thing for Alliance, Warp, and Enterprise. So we'll be doing a video for each one of those projects, which is pretty cool because I think it'll just make it a lot easier for people to understand those projects, how they benefit different stakeholders, and also it'll be an easy way to share that information with other people. Like that was one thing we saw with the How Does Terra Work videos. It was very easy to educate people on the ecosystem and bring them into the ecosystem because they were able to just watch a short video and understand, okay, this is how this works. And so that's kind of what we're trying to do with these videos. So we're expecting those to be released within the next couple of months, which is pretty exciting. And then just last two brief updates, and then we'll hand it over to Evan to talk about his secret project. We're also going to be updating the Terra.money site, which will feature Alliance more prominently. Right now, Alliance isn't on the website, so we're going to be adding that in there, potentially with a new section to just feature important new announcements for either projects in the ecosystem or news surrounding the Terra ecosystem that we want to feature on the website. So that'll be coming soon, something to look out for. And then the last update on Alliance is the team recently released Alliance V2, which you can check out on the Terra GitHub. There's not too many changes to it, but it's something that you can check out on GitHub. With that, I will hand over to Evan, who will talk about his secret project that he's been working on, which actually dovetails nicely with what I was just talking about with Alliance.
Hey, Zion. Hey, everybody. This is a great segue because my secret project has something to do with Alliance, and it's about to be revealed, so stay tuned. But before I get to that, I want to talk a little bit about the Game of Alliance testnet that happened a few months ago. So those that need some refreshing, Game of Alliance was a testnet to test the Alliance module before its initial release. So basically some chains were spun up with the Alliance module, and there were some alliances created between the chains, and parameters changed randomly. And we asked users to create a wallet and start staking on these alliance chains, and as the parameters change, the staking would kind of move around. There were different missions you could do and tasks like staking, running a validator, claiming, etc. And so as you did the missions, you could score points. And collecting rewards also factored into some points. And so it was a big turnout. I think we had over 5,300 users. So there was a lot, which is pretty cool. And so the results of this really did help solidify our confidence in Alliance and the module as a whole, and also confirmed like our hypotheses about Alliance and its use as an economic tool. So how it works, and like drawing users, and then rewards kind of tending towards equilibrium as demand is balanced. And as those parameters changed around, the stakers changed around too. And so I think after that, we announced that we're going to reward the community for their support and for being part of the Game of Alliance testnet. And so this is where my secret project comes in. Initially, we announced that we were going to launch a token, but we no longer have plans on launching a new token. However, we have something I think is a little better. So my secret project is this. In order to reward Game of Alliance participants, we're going to create an enterprise NFT DAO called the Alliance DAO. And so Game of Alliance participants will be airdropped an NFT based on their scores in Game of Alliance. Those who scored higher will get a cooler NFT. These NFTs can be staked in that enterprise DAO called Alliance DAO. And then here's the cool thing, is that these NFTs will generate rewards based on an Alliance asset. So the NFT mint contract will create a token factory asset, which is solely owned by the contract. And so this asset can never go out into circulation. And this asset will be added as an Alliance asset. We'll put up a governance proposal. And as long as it's passed by the community, this asset will be staked by the DAO, and the rewards from the staking will be distributed to NFT holders of the Game of Alliance. And so basically the DAO will decide how much they want to stake to different validators. There are some parameters like the maximum supply delegated to a single validator can't be like more than 20%, and you can't stake to a validator with a commission of above 10%. And there are some other details about that too that'll come out later. And so the other cool thing about this is that as rewards are claimed and distributed to the DAO, it won't go into the DAO's distributed contract. Instead, the rewards will be locked in the NFTs themselves. And so over time, the NFTs basically represent a claim of those rewards. And so as the rewards accrue, the NFTs accrue more rewards, and they can only be claimed once by breaking the NFT. So you would go to a site that will put up, you would submit a transaction to break your NFT and claim your rewards. And once that happens, you'll get your rewards, but the NFT will no longer be accruing rewards. And so the amount of NFTs that are accruing rewards, that number of users gets smaller, but they will get larger rewards because the same amount of rewards are going to a smaller amount of NFTs, if that makes sense. So it's some pretty exciting stuff. Really ties in enterprise, alliance, and it's something really exciting because we've been wanting to reward the Game of Alliance participants. The NFTs are going to look really cool. I'm going to keep what they are exactly a secret for now, because I think it's more fun that way. But I think you guys will like it. It involves handshakes. That's all I will say. So this is a really cool way for the Game of Alliance testnet users to be rewarded. We'll have more details about launching the NFT and the airdrop in a few weeks. So stay tuned and we'll get that out to you. So that is my secret project, Alliance DAO. You guys heard it first, and super excited to get this going. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Zion. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks so much, Evan. It's super exciting to finally make that project public. Evan's been working on that for a while now. I'm sure people here probably have questions about that, and we're gonna have time for questions in just a minute here after Jason talks about the project he's been working on. And so we'll have plenty of time for that in just a moment. If people have questions about Alliance DAO and things like that, you can request to speak, and then I will bring you up in the order that I see the requests. But with that, I'll hand it over to Mr. Octal Mage himself here to talk about what he's been working on.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I want to get some of those Alliance DAO NFTs myself. That looks really cool. So I wanted to spend some time talking about a project that I've been working on for most of the year now. It's something that, I'm very passionate about, and get to share it with y'all finally. So you may have heard about Jax. There's been little teasers here or there, but I'm just going to cover exactly what it is and how it benefits the Terra ecosystem. So Jax, which is short for JavaScript Application Exchange, is a smart contract platform designed to be easy for developers that already know JavaScript. And I'm sure you guys know that is a substantial number of developers. So Jax enables developers to leverage their existing knowledge in tooling for building smart contracts. So if any of you guys listening know even just a little bit of JavaScript, you'll actually be able to make smart contracts. So like I mentioned, Jax unlocks smart contract development on Terra for a whole new set of developers who either struggled with Rust or didn't have time to learn COSM WASM. I think according to a Stack Overflow survey, around 9% of developers claim to know Rust, or 65% of those developers claim to know JavaScript. So there's just a much larger pool of developers to pull from. And so Jax is 100% compatible with COSM WASM. It's not a replacement. Um, just like how every Web 2 app isn't built with the same programming language, I think the same applies to dApps as well. Teams should be able to choose the right tool for the job. So there's going to be times where COSM WASM and Rust is the right tool. There's going to be other times where I think JavaScript is the right tool. So I think, a lot of what I've been working on so far is finding a subset of JavaScript functionality that is deterministic and easy to estimate for gas cost. So I have to find, a subset of JavaScript that's useful for building dApps, but won't break consensus. There's JavaScript methods like math.random, which had to be disabled because when validators executed math.random, each validator would return a different number, and then that would end up breaking consensus. So I spent a good amount of time studying other JavaScript smart contract platforms. There's a blockchain that launched in 2018 called IOST that has been running, on mainnet this whole time. And I kind of used their list of functionality as like the starting point for Jax. I've expanded the functionality quite a bit because JavaScript has matured a lot since 2018. So I've added a lot of the new JavaScript features that can now be leveraged for smart contract development. So I think I've noticed that games are very easy to develop with JavaScript. And I suspect will be a strong use case for Jax. And it's also the use case that I'm most excited about. Over the last couple of months, I've actually built a couple arcade games with Jax. And, I'll be launching those. We have a couple of example games to look forward to. In addition to games, really, all existing smart contract use cases are possible. And this includes compatibility with IBC and COSM WASM. So you can make fungible tokens, NFTs, crowdfunding, streaming payments, really whatever you can imagine is going to be possible. Very similar to COSM WASM in that way. So as far as like an estimated timeline goes, our plan is to get a Jax DevNet up this quarter. So that's actually already happening, and it's something that we'll be able to share with you in the coming month or so. And the Jax DevNet is going to be just a place for developers to start writing code and getting familiar with Jax, with how Jax works. I think after sufficient testing on DevNet, the plan is to go to the next stage, which is to deploy Jax on the Terra Pisco testnet. So the DevNet, is a place where the chain's going to get wiped often. Tokens are free. It's really just a place for developers to get their hands on with Jax. So, at this point, I think the best way to get notified of when these things launch is to follow the Jax Twitter account. This is JAXDOTZONE, jax.zone. We'll be announcing there whenever the DevNet is live. And there's also some other things we're working on, like a web-based contract editor. And yeah, you'll want to follow that, especially if you know JavaScript or are interested in building smart contracts. I think that's all I got.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Jason. I'm super excited for Jax myself. Also excited to see what people build with it. Like you said, there's so many developers that code in JavaScript that we're tapping into a much larger market here than we would with just Rust alone. So that's pretty exciting, and I'm excited to see some games launch on Terra as well. Whether they be arcade games or what have you. It'll be interesting to get some of those going as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm also talking to some JavaScript developers already, so I think it'll be really cool to see what happens. It's going to be a different style of dApp than what you see in Cosmos traditionally, which is very exciting.
Yeah, it might be refreshing too. I mean, to get a change of pace and see what some of these new developers might build and launch. Do you have any ideas of what maybe some of them are working on? Can you drop a little bit of maybe some baby alpha for the community here?
So I know there was a team that's working on like a NFT marketplace, which I know Terra already has plenty of, but some of the other stuff I'll keep secret for now.
Sounds good. Cool. All right. Well, with that, we'll open it up for some questions. I see we already have some requests here. So, like I said, if you have a question about any of the projects that we've been talking about, or just things that TFL is working on, or really anything you'd like to discuss, feel free to just request, and then we'll bring you up in the order that we see the requests. And just as a forewarning, last space we had someone come up talking about Terra Classic or Wrapped Luna or something like that. Actually is Terra Classic.
I cannot believe what has just happened. Firstly, I've been speaking for like 3-4 minutes with my microphone muted, so I don't know if anything was coming through. Secondly, I was removed from the space, which is absolutely insane. But it just goes to show the levels that they will go to sabotage us here. I can't believe I spoke for that long into my microphone. I was like, what's going on? Nothing's showing up. Totally had it muted. Honestly, it's worrying to say the least that the sabotage is that obvious that, we need infrastructure. And the biggest issue right now is the L1 team are telling me they don't have the knowledge to launch the infrastructure that they've been given. So our next best bet is to get our legacy infrastructure, or to find people who can launch for the money that we're paying them each quarter, right? So TFL currently merges all of our updates. So if we put a pull request to do something to the station, to the mobile station, etc., they're the ones that do the merging. They're the ones that approve our updates. So, go around, tell everybody what you just witnessed in this space. I'm not a bad person, right? But they obviously know who I am, otherwise they would not have removed me from the space. It's really sad to see that happen. Really sad, especially when I just sat there, listened, really interested what they had to say. I was actually going to congratulate them with the changes that they've made and stuff like that. Have I been blocked? What's going on? Did the space go down? No, I've just been removed. Can anybody else join? Oh, horrendous. Honestly, it's sickening to see the levels of sabotage that are going on, right? Because what you need to understand right now as a community is they'll quite happily speak to Terra Rebels. Terra Rebels have contacts with them, no problems. And, Terra Rebels never tried to get the legacy stuff and launch that and ensure that that was for the blockchain. And instead they decided, right, we can actually privatize this. We can actually create our own systems and we can put that forward. We don't need to use theirs. We can just create our own. We can control this sector, and that's what it's all about. It's it's horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. There's nothing I could do, folks. They literally kicked me out of the. They brought me up as speaker and then kicked me straight out. There's nothing that I could do. It's absolutely horrendous. Even if they're saying they've got issues, if you scroll back and look at the bottom, just as I get brought up as speaker, it says you have been removed from this space. So really sad to see that. Share that around. I'll get another video up now speaking about what just happened. I'll take a clip to show everybody who misses this live and doesn't understand the levels of sabotage that are going on. You know, it's real. It exists, right? These things are happening. Any way they can stop us from growing as a blockchain, the better. Any person, right, that is building something that is a DEX, wallet system and anything like that could have just simply been built for our blockchain that we need, right? They're simply just privatizing the sector. It's a money tree at the bottom of a long garden of blockchains. If you go and you look at like the top node operators, for example, right? If you look at someone like Thor, right? Go look at Thor chain. Look at how many people are on Thor chain. Look at how many blockchains they're on, right? These bigger nodes are just huge companies, right? And this is why they have so much voting power, and it's all very insane, folks. All I can say is support someone like myself who's trying to make a difference, shows up all the time, makes the effort to inform you folks, whether it's good news or bad news, whether it's going to affect me or if it's going to make people leave and if it's going to make people do. I'm not trying to like butter you up. I'm not trying to bring you down for a soft landing. At the end of the day, we're at a point now where we have to start addressing these things and acting maturely about it. And what TFL just did is absolutely out of line. Folks, stay safe. Thanks for showing up for this live. I really appreciate those who have shown up. I appreciate the likes. We've got 51 likes. We've got 56 viewers. You know, I would have been happy with 10 likes. Everybody have a really nice evening. Thanks for showing up. I really do appreciate it. I appreciate all the support. I appreciate everything that everybody does. But yeah, remember, none of it's financial advice. Just mere ramblings of a madman, my own humble opinion. And I'll catch you in the next one.